What's good, YouTube? It's Justice I used to be paying. Today I'm back with another video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about why Iceman needs to be a pure rap album. But before I get into that, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. It helps me out a ton. Now, Drake recently continued his rollout for Iceman with another live stream, and I think that this stuff is actually pretty cool. Drake typically doesn't have a rollout with his albums. He's typically so hot that he just kind of says, hey y'all, I'm going to be dropping an album. And then he makes a few related posts to the album on social media. Maybe a billboard goes up here and there, maybe an ad on Spotify or something. And that's pretty much it. The album just comes out. But with this one, Drake is actually putting in some effort with this rollout. I think that the live stream thing is really, really cool. He even went and got like a CDL so he could drive a truck live on YouTube in Toronto, and I thought that was really interesting. I think the settings have been really cool. I think that pretty much everything that's going on here is something that's engaging. The setting, the aesthetic, the logo, the jacket even. Like, I'm liking everything about this rollout, including even that like weird thing with Pinocchio where we're trying to figure out what's going on there, where Drake is being chased down the street by Pinocchio, and maybe that's an allegory for Kendrick. You know, it's a puppet, it's a liar. Maybe he's trying to, I don't know what he's trying to do, but it's intriguing. It's something that is making me think about it outside of just, oh yeah, this is a little live stream from Drake. And so I'm liking everything about this rollout except the music. The music is cool, you know, like What Did I Miss as a song? It's cool. It's not a bad song, but you know, I'm not super excited about it. I'm not going to be playing it over and over again. And then the song that just recently came out, which one was Central C, it's cool. Again, the song with Central C is all right. It's decent, but it's not getting me super excited. The reason I'm not super high on the music right now is because it sounds like music that Drake could have dropped at any point in his career over the last 7 years or so. Like, in a vacuum, these songs probably are like good. I probably do like these songs in a vacuum. If there's no context, no outside information, just listen to the songs, I probably would like What Did I Miss a lot. I'd probably play it all the time. But the thing is, it's just something that I don't really want from Drake right now. I can love cheese pizza, but if you give me cheese pizza 6 times a week and then you ask again, hey, do you want a cheese pizza? I might not want that cheese pizza. And that's the issue that I have with these songs. They sound like they could have been dropped on CLB. They sound like they could have been dropped on For All the Dogs. And those two albums are inconsequential to what Iceman is supposed to be, in my opinion. Iceman is supposed to be a huge deal. It's supposed to be a groundbreaking album for Drake at this point in his career. Those albums are cool, but this is supposed to be Drake's triumphant return after the events of 2024 and the entire world turning on him. From fans to people in the industry to even people Drake considered as friends. In terms of being a big deal, this is Drake's most important project since like Scorpion or Views. Drake really hasn't had that much to talk about over the last 7 years. He's been the undisputed biggest rapper in the world, and he's just been kind of making vibes music, which isn't a bad thing, but at this point, I feel it's time for a shift. In response to this, you might say, well, then why don't you like What Did I Miss? It's about the situation that happened over the last year or so. It's about his fake friends. That's exactly what you want, right? And in response to that, I would say Drake's been rapping about fake friends for like 10 years now at this point. So this song being about fake friends isn't like anything groundbreaking there. But also, this song feels very vague and it's very surface level. It's not very deep. And maybe that's on purpose. Maybe this is just a teaser and this is where he's going to eventually go in deep on the album, and that's what I'm hoping for. But the reason that I don't like What Did I Miss a ton specifically is because it just feels vague. It's like, oh yeah, fake friends again. You know, even the specific bars about the situation where he says, seen bro at the pop out. This could have came out in 2021. And sure, Kendrick literally had something called a pop out, but that could just be a party. Or when he talks about getting punched in the left eye, that's probably a reference to when Rick Ross got like punched in Canada. But even then, like that could just be taken as a generic bar. So this song in particular isn't very specific. It's going in the right direction. But as a great philosopher once said,
we're just getting a taste of them. I'm like, you know, I'm tired of getting a taste of them. I want the whole load.
The concept of Drake, the guy who's one of the greatest networkers in rap history, turning cold on the industry is really fascinating to me. I'm sure he has a ton of bars for people and things to get off his chest, and Drake is an amazing, emotionally vulnerable rapper. Now is the time, though, to hit back with bars, because from the way Drake's been moving on social media and in his performances, it's clear that he has a lot he wants to say and to tell his story. So he should do it in a way that's similar to the Timestamp Records, or Scary Hours 3, or the For All the Dogs Deluxe, whatever you want to refer to it as. When I look at the 2 songs he's dropped so far, and What Did I Miss and Which One, they're cool, but they don't give me anything from Drake that I'm excited about. Comparing this to what we got on Fighting Irish Freestyle, that's way more intriguing at this point. I love Fighting Irish Freestyle. I know people were roasting Drake for, dissing LeBron because he's not a rapper and how is he supposed to respond to this? And, you're starting a beef with somebody who's never going to be able to punch back. But I like that song because it was raw, it was real, and it expressed what felt like genuine emotion rather than Drake just saying stuff that might possibly hint at how he feels, but it's still cool enough to be like, hey, I'm still a tough guy. It's not really bothering me. It's just something I want to say for real. I'm not actually hurt about the situation. When we talk about Drake and him making an album, we all know that Drake is going to have a bunch of attempts at making a hit on there. That's just kind of the music he likes to make, songs that are very purposely made to try and top the charts. I think that What Did I Miss is a perfect example of Drake attempting to do that. In my opinion, though, I'm not Drake, so I can't tell you what his goals should or shouldn't be, but in my opinion, I just don't think that there's much to pursue there for Drake. Like, he's pretty much done everything that he could numbers-wise. So, in my opinion, making a statement with the music or making a statement with his message in the music is way more important than any statement that he could realistically make with the numbers at this point. Sure, you might say, oh, well, Kendrick was number one for a few months and now Drake's back number one. Look at his numbers. Kendrick's not doing the numbers when he's not beefing with Drake. Maybe you could run with that narrative, but that just doesn't move the needle much for me, in my opinion. Drake already is one of the biggest, probably the biggest rapper of all time when it comes to numbers. He's done everything. Like, he has the most number one singles as a rapper ever. He sold 1 million first week. He has one of the highest grossing tours. He's going to have the most number one albums by a rapper when he drops Iceman. There are really only two things that Drake can do numerically that are worth pursuing anymore, like, in my opinion. Again, I'm not Drake, so maybe that's all he wants to do, but in terms of breaking numbers and, records and all that stuff, I don't think there's much for him to do. There's only two things, in my opinion, that really would matter. The first one would be passing Michael Jackson in number one songs. We've heard Drake talk about it for years now. He wants to pass Mike. Number one's like Mike. He's comparing himself to Michael Jackson. So that is something that's worth passing. That's something that is impressive. And then the other thing would just be him doing a stadium tour. Outside of those two things, numerically, I don't feel like there's much for Drake to go out there and accomplish. Like, he's pretty much done everything. At this point, it's just like overkill. It's like when you beat a game to 100% and then like you're just doing like little extra side missions where now instead of just passing the mission, now you're trying to pass the mission with 3 stars. And it's like, I mean, that's cool, but like there's no point in doing that. Drake could use this album to make his bops that will be big and do amazing numbers and turn the club up, and he could tell the story of, oh, they thought I was dead, but I came back even stronger with more hits without you fake industry puppets. Or this could be the Iceman coming back and lyrically expressing what he went through over the last year, eloquently elaborating his side of the story and why he felt so betrayed by the people who flipped on him. We saw people that appeared to turn on Drake, Future, Rick Ross, LeBron, DeMar DeRozan, and others. People who have been seen as close to Drake for years, and we really don't have a clue as to why it happened. It just kind of happened all of a sudden. Why not give us a chance to better understand what's happening, especially from Drake's point of view? For years now, fans have been asking for specific things from Drake because he's done so many different things. He's very versatile, but they want specifics now because he's kind of done everything. For years, people were clamoring for an R&B album. I was one of those people who kept asking for a Drake R&B album, and he just recently gave us that with Some Sexy Songs for You. Now, it was a collab with Party Next Door, so it wasn't a solo Drake R&B album, but still, beggars can't be choosers. He finally delivered on the R&B album. Another thing that people have been clamoring for from Drake has been a record or an album full of timestamp records. And the timestamp records have become something of legend when you talk about Drake and his career. Those things are pretty much unanimously liked. Even by Drake haters, people appreciate those timestamp records. So people have been asking for an album full of timestamp records. And I feel like if there was ever a time to do that, it would be now. The timestamp records by Drake are typically something where he's getting a lot of grievances off his chest. He's airing things out. He's venting. And what better time to vent than on your first solo album after the entire world turned their back on you and was laughing and calling you a P3DO? Like, I can't think of a better time. But now, to do that. Drake is known for his pop appeal and some of his pop records, but growing up, he was a rap nerd. I'm not going to lie. Like, he referred to himself as a backpack rapper when he was first coming up. He loved backpack rappers. He has references to A Tribe Called Quest early in his music. He loves that lyrical, somewhat conscious stuff. He loved Joe Budden and Common. Those were two of his most favorite rappers ever. And it's kind of funny that he went on to beef with both of them. But specifically, Joe Budden
really got my attention on Show Me a Good Time when you said that line about people hate when a backpack rapper starts living that life.
Do you consider yourself a backpack rapper?
I mean, yeah, that's how I started, man. You know, there was a time where I wouldn't listen to anything unless it was produced by Dilla. You know, I used to just listen to Ninth and Little Brother and Slum and Common. You know, I used to really be just immersed in that brand of hip hop. Not that anything's changed, but I just found myself in a different position.
Yo, come on.
Okay, so I can't be honest on your network here. I can't be honest to your fans and say I'm honored to be around you. We all used to listen to you, so I don't need. You need to take. You need to learn, that's what you need. You need to learn how to take compliments.
I think I take compliments.
No, you don't take compliments, bro. You think everybody bullshitting you.
I'm jaded, right?
You're wrong, man. I'm genuinely saying it's an honor to be around Joe Budden. It's the first time we've met. You know what I'm saying, formally, and he's a great guy, man.
And I think that's why they have that kind of strained relationship, because Drake did have so much respect for him early in his life and in his career that when Joe talks bad about him, it rubs Drake in a way that's a little bit different than everyone else. But Drake has a rap nerd buried underneath all that pop record, #1 rapper in the world. There's a backpack rap nerd underneath all of that. And I think he should let him out on this album. I never expected Drake to drop an album without singing in it or without him singing on the hooks of some of his songs. And wanting Drake to not do those things would be taking away from what actually makes Drake special as an artist. So I'm not saying that. I just think that the main approach for this album should be a much more lyrically faced rap style because of the emotions that Drake is feeling right now. Drake is feeling hurt. He's feeling betrayed, and he's feeling vengeful. And there's no better way to express those emotions than rapping in a much more lyrical way, getting that timestamp version of Drake. Albums like Certified Lover Boy and For All the Dogs feel like extremely contemporary projects that in 15 years, people will, for the most part, skip over when talking about the wider legacy of Drake. They're solid albums with music that I enjoy, but when telling the story of Drake, they're footnotes at best. If Iceman resembles those two at all, it would be a massive mistake. The effort that Drake has put into this rollout and seems to be continuing to put in, plus the crazy life events that happened, it wouldn't make a lick of sense if this is just another Drake album. This should be Drake turning over a new leaf in his career, showing his storytelling ability and vulnerability that made him feel so special and so different 15 years ago. I also really want to see Drake do his own thing on this project. Central C is cool and all, don't get me wrong, but if you're telling me you're the Iceman and you feeling cold-hearted towards the industry, you're turning your back on the industry, you're doing your own thing, you're your own man, now you're not giving out handouts no more. Don't come for me for no features, don't come for me for none of that. And then you drop a Caribbean club song with Central C. I'm looking at you a little crazy, I'm not gonna lie. In my opinion, Iceman really shouldn't have any features whatsoever, and maybe it won't have features. Maybe this is stuff Drake is just kind of throwing at us beforehand. We really don't know, but Iceman to me feels like an album where there shouldn't be any features, but if there are features, they got to be like the day ones, like OVO demons, like, you know, I know Chubbs don't rap, but put Chubbs on the song. Like put, you know, somebody in OVO who's been around from day one, who's never switched up about anything, who's always supported you when nobody else did. Like, if there's going to be features on here, it needs to be those guys who literally have OVO in their social media handle. It shouldn't be anyone else. And you can also miss me with the, oh, well, you know, we rappers, we industry friends, but that's really my brother for real. You know, we brothers. I got him tatted because he had LeBron tatted on him, and LeBron was his brother. He was calling LeBron his brother for years. LeBron was even calling Adonis his nephew. And you see how that played out. So I don't really want to see any of those games on it. I don't want to see the industry stuff. I don't want to see the whole bunch of features. I really kind of want Drake to be on his own for this album. I know a lot of people look at me and they think I'm a Drake hater because I, you know, criticize Drake, but I truly am a Drake fan. I like his music. I love his music. Just because I'm critical of him doesn't mean that I don't like him as an artist. He's always in my top 5 most listened to artists on Apple Music or Spotify whenever that time comes around. I love Drake's music. I just think that, you know, Turn Up Drake is cool. Caribbean Drake is cool. It's just not the time for that right now. This album needs to be something that is full of substance. He can still turn the club up. He can do that. But he can also really have some substance behind this and really have some bars on this album. He's almost 40 years old, and had arguably the biggest clowning in rap history. Again, I need everyone to remember, Drake, they called you a pedophile at the Super Bowl. Kendrick called you a pedophile at the Super Bowl. Kendrick called you a pedophile at the Super Bowl. I need that to not be forgotten. He went through all of that over the last year or so. He was, falling out with friends that he's had for over a decade now at this point. And all of this happened within a year. He was called probably the worst thing that you can be called, like, on the planet. And his friends were singing along to it. The whole world was singing along to it. This is the time for bars, bruh. Drake's always going to make time for the bops and the hip twirling songs and all that stuff. And that's cool. Don't get me wrong. But the main entree for this album needs to be rap. And I mean really rapping, because we know that Drake can do that. But if you made it to the end of this video, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. Do all those things. It helps me out a ton. I go by the name of Pay. Peace.